The differential amplifiers, importance and operations. The main application of the differential amplifier is generally found as the input of the operational amplifier. Therefore, first the building block of the operational amplifier will be discussed in order to make you understand where the differential amplifier is actually necessary. Next one is the importance of the differential amplifier, because it has several advantages over the generally discussed voltage divider configuration. So those things will be discussed along with the common mode operation and the differential mode operation, because it is a differential amplifier from which the CMR or the common mode rejection ratio uh, appeared as a figure of merit for the operational amplifier. So that is why the common mode operation and the differential mode operation, these two operations, which is also applicable for the operational amplifier, is basically due to the presence of the differential amplifier as an input of the operational amplifier. Along with that, here we will see that how the two terminals, input terminals of the differential amplifier defines the inverting and non-inverting terminal of the operational amplifier. So all these things will be discussed in this lecture, and in a later lecture I will discuss the large signal model and the small signal large signal analysis and the small signal analysis for the differential amplifiers. Here the block diagram of the operational amplifier is presented, where you can see the first block is the differential amplifier, and the inverting and non-inverting input of the op amp is basically the two inputs of the differential amplifier itself. So in general, the differential amplifier are of four types. The first one is the differential input balanced output. Next one is the differential input unbalanced output, and the unbalanced input balanced output, and unbalanced input unbalanced output. Out of these four, the last one you can uh, achieve by grounding one of its two terminal, and these last one are not so much of greater importance, but this first one we generally use for this operational amplifier. The first one is used as the first element of the operational amplifier, because the two terminals of the operational amplifier are basically the two terminals of the differential amplifier, and since it has a balanced output, in this lecture we will see, due to the presence of the balanced output, the common mode rejections basically uh, gets enhanced due to presence of this balanced output. But there are some reasons that we may need to reduce the gain of the first stage of the differential amplifier. So I will discuss that one also. So therefore, we need to increase the gain in the next stage, and the next stage is another differential amplifier, and that is in general the differential input and the unbalanced output type, because the balancing is done in the previous case. But when you are incorporating another gain stage, either by incorporating another differential amplifier or by incorporating another class A type amplifier, you are basically introducing another extra pole. So you have to be very careful when you are incorporating another extra gain stage, because as we have learned from my previous lecture, that due to presence of higher order pole, there will be a possibility of the being unstable when you are employing some negative feedback, and basically op amps are used to employ some negative feedback. Next one is the level shifter. Due to presence of this dual supply, that means the plus VCC and minus VE, in general we have seen when you have dealt with that 741 op amp, these positive supply and the negative supply are generally equal to each other but opposite in phase. So in case of 741 op amp, you have used these plus VCC as plus 15 volt and minus VE as minus 15 volt. So therefore, due to the presence of this dual supply, the biasing voltage appears at 0 volt. The level shifter is used to ensure that the signal volt, the biasing voltage, must be at 0 volt, because when these previous operations are done, so there may be a possibility that the biasing voltage level gets shifted. So this level shifter basically shifts it down, that biasing voltage to 0 volt, because due to the presence of this dual supply, the biasing voltage is at 0 volt. I will explain. And the last one is the output stage. So that one is basically is the push pull type amplifier, and the output stage is basically used to deliver the power to the load. And another purpose of this output stage is to reduce its output impedance, because we have seen in my earlier lectures that for a voltage amplifier the output impedance should be as small as possible for practical purpose. So the output stage is used to reduce the output impedance so that the power can be delivered to the load itself. The differential amplifier, as shown in this diagram, is made of one pair of transistors, that is, here I have used Q1 and Q2 along with their corresponding uh, collector resistance RC that is connected to their respective collectors. The differential amplifier is called the differential amplifier because it has two inputs, and one of the two inputs are the inverting inputs, another one is the non-inverting inputs, and these two inputs basically appears as the inverting and non-inverting terminal of the operational amplifiers. And since this type of differential amplifier is the differential input and balanced output type differential amplifier, balanced output means these outputs are being measured with respect to each other. So this total output V naught, if I consider, that will be equals to the summation of Vc1 plus Vc2. In order to get the operation as a fully differential amplifier, we must have these conditions. That is, both this Q1 and Q2 must be or should be perfectly matched to each other along with their collector resistance RCs. Next one is that this matched pairs makes the circuit symmetric with respect to this current at their common emitter. Now, when you apply a common voltage to both of these inputs, these two transistors will be biased in a similar way. Therefore, this total current I, which is appearing at their common emitter, they will be divided equally into both of these transistors, both of these sides, when you are applying the common input to each of them. So therefore, each of the transistor will have their emitter current is equals to I by 2 when the common voltages are applied to each of their inputs. You can see from this diagram of the differential amplifier that no complex biasing circuits are required as required for the voltage divider bias, because biasing means the setup of the Q point, and that the setup of the Q point was done in case of voltage divider biasing by fixing the DC collector current. Here the biasing is done by this common emitter current. This one is the DC current source, and as this current source is connected with their common emitter, whatever will be the input conditions, the emitter current of the transistor Q1 plus the emitter current of the transistor Q2 always will be equals to this current I. And from here, since emitter current is IE1, so the corresponding collector current will be alpha times IE1. So for the DC biasing, when both of their inputs gets a common voltage, as I told, each of this emitter current will get the current I by 2, so their corresponding collector current will be alpha times I by divided by 2. So in this way, you can easily bias this differential amplifier, and we do not need any complex resistive network which dissipates the additional powers. Differential amplifiers has several advantages over the voltage divider or any other dissipative type amplifiers. Another one is that due to presence of this dual supply VCC and VEE, the biasing voltage appears for the differential amplifier at 0 voltage, because from the knowledge of the voltage divider biasing configuration, we have seen that generally, or not only for voltage divider bias, in case of in any case of general biasing scheme, we do prefer to bias the amplifier to the midway of the total available supply. So in case of voltage divider biasing, the total available supply was 0 VCC plus VCC and the 0 voltage. So therefore the biasing voltage was VCC plus 0 divided by 2, which is equivalent to VCC by 2. But in case of differential amplifier, since the total available voltage is VCC plus minus VEE, so that appears VCC minus VEE divided by 2. And if VCC and VEE are equal to each other, then the biasing voltage you can have at 0 voltage. And the advantage of the biasing voltage at 0 voltage is that you do not need any coupling capacitor, because in case of voltage divider bias, we require a coupling capacitor in order to prevent any kind of DC current either from the previous design or previous circuit, or from the next circuit to interfere. But since the biasing voltage is itself 0 volt, so there is no question of the coupling current no question of the coupling capacitor that is required to prevent such kind of interference. Later on, we will see that when we apply a differential input instead of a common input, we will see the current in one transistor, if increases over the DC biasing current, which is I by 2, then the current in another transistor gets decreased by the same amount by which the current gets increased in one transistor. So in this way, when one transistor is pulling the current, so the other transistor is pushing the current. So basically, with respect to this node, the phase of the currents always opposite to each other. So the potential across the current source we will see is always 0. And the 0 potential represents virtually this terminal is connected with the ground when the operation is AC, means the differential operation we are considering. And such kind of configuration basically avoids to connect any kind of bypass capacitor which we required for the voltage divider biasing. So therefore, the purpose of the bypass capacitor is also being served over here, as the current in one transistor gets increased and the current in one transistor gets increased, and the increment and the decrement happens in the same amount when you are applying the differential input or the AC input instead of the common mode input. So that is why the required of this bypass capacitor can be avoided from here. Finally, since the output voltage is measured with respect to this two individual output voltage, so that means any kind of common mode voltage will be cancelled. So if there exists any DC part when you are considering any kind of AC signal, so if the AC signal contains any DC component, so that DC component will appear both of these two inputs, and that will be considered as a common mode input. So this common mode input will not appear because the output is being measured with respect to each other. So the common mode input will be 0, and that is basically the common. From here, the common mode rejection ratio becomes so important for this differential amplifier circuit, and that will be discussed. However, since the common mode voltage gets cancelled, so the need for the any blocking capacitor are also not required for the differential amplifier. Since all these three capacitors which are responsible for the lower cutoff frequency in case of voltage divider circuit are now can fully be avoided for this differential amplifier, so the lower cutoff frequency is improved over the voltage divider bias configuration. And improved means there is no lower cutoff frequency, the lower cutoff frequency starts right at 0. So the bandwidth is also improved over the voltage divider bias configurations. Mode response. For the common mode response, the both of these two inputs of these two transistors are connected with a common mode voltage VCM as shown over here. Now as long as these two transistors are in active region and this current source I has the proper biasing means I will show you later in my later lecture that this current source is basically realized using another bipolar junction transistor, and in order to get a constant DC current out of a BJT, that bipolar junction transistor, the collector to emitter voltage of the BJT must have a very large value. So as long as the collector to emitter voltage of that transistor will be this sufficient one, and which represent or which as actually I was telling that the proper biasing is available for this current source, then for the entire range of the input voltage or common mode voltage, the emitter current of this Q1 and the emitter current of this Q2 will be equal to each other, and that is I divided by 2, because the summation of their two emitter current is equals to this I bias current. As their emitter current is I by 2, their collector current will be equals to alpha I divided by 2, and these two collector current also will be equal to each other, because you have applied common mode voltage. Common mode voltage means the same voltage you have applied, so the same current they will draw. Now as I told, for a balanced differential amplifier, the output is measured with respect to each of the individual outputs. So the output, total output, is equals to the output for the first one minus the output of the second one. So the output of the first one is VCC minus IC1 times RC, and the second one is VCC minus IC2 times RC, but IC1 and IC2 are equal to each other. So therefore the output is 0, and that is why the output for the common mode input gets rejected, and from here the common mode rejection ratio is appearing. I will discuss it later. Now we have to ensure what is the voltage is appearing across the collector to emitter voltage of the BJT, which is acting as a current source over here. So when you are applying the VCM as the common mode voltage, so VCM, the emitter voltage, that means across at this terminal, emitter voltage will be VCM minus VBE. So VBE is in general 0.7 volt we do consider. So VCM minus 0.7 volt is appearing as the emitter voltage, and when you know the emitter voltage, the voltage across the current source will be as I named it as Vs is equals to V minus this voltage source. So that one will be V plus VEE, and that is why for a common mode voltage the current source gets the sufficient voltage as long as this common mode voltage is greater than 0, because for common mode voltage less than 0, so this V will be -1, and I will demonstrate it in my next slide. Next one is the common mode range. Common mode range means the DC voltage or the common mode voltage, whatever you are applying, what will be the maximum and minimum range of the common mode voltage that you can apply. So for the maximum voltage you can apply as long as these two transistors are in active region. So for the maximum voltage for which these two transistors enters into the saturation region, so that level will be the maximum value of this VCM, and the minimum voltage, as I told in the earlier point, for the minimum voltage, as you will decrease this VCM, so the voltage across the current source will also be reduced. So the minimum voltage of the or minimum limit of the VCM will be that one for which the biasing of the current source is going out. So let's see for common mode range. Is the maximum voltage when these transistors, this Q1 and Q2, are just about to enter into the saturation region. So whatever the voltage, because the entire range of common mode voltage, these IC1 and IC2 remain equal to each other, and that is alpha I divided by 2. So the output voltage, that means from the collector terminal, is VCC minus alpha I divided by 2 times RC. Therefore, the maximum voltage at this terminal will be equals to the equal voltage of this one plus some x additional voltage. So when the input voltage will be equals to the maximum available voltage, so then this collector to base voltage will be equals to 0, and if you add some additional voltage as I have shown here 0.4 volt, so that will make this collector to base junction negative, and the negative collector to base junction means this is in forward bias. So in general, a 0.4 volt is sufficient to make this junction forward bias, and to basically ensure this junction is forward bias when the input voltage is VCC plus minus alpha times I RC divided by 2, or that means the input voltage is equals to the output voltage plus some additional voltage 0.4 volt. So this is the maximum range of the common mode voltage that you can apply. Similarly, the minimum voltage that you can apply until and unless the bias across the current source is going out. Therefore, from this equation, or you can write that Vs, which I have obtained over here, is equals to VE minus common mode voltage VC minus VB plus VEE, and from here, so that is the voltage across the current source, and from here we can easily find out the minimum value of VCM that we can have, and that minimum value that I have obtained over here is written here. Now we will examine the differential mode response of the differential amplifier. Here you can see these two differential amplifier, one of its input is connected with the ground, whereas the base of the transistor Q1 is connected with plus 1 volt. So now, as the base to emitter voltage of the transistor Q1 is 0.7 volt and the base is connected with 1 volt, so transistor Q1 goes to turn on, because this emitter voltage, we know the input voltage minus the base emitter voltage, so that emitter voltage is equals to 1 minus 0.7 volt, which is equals to 0.3 volt. So 0.3 volt is appearing across the emitter terminal, and across the current source it is VEE plus 0.3 volt, as already I have derived in my last slide. Now, what is the base emitter voltage of this transistor Q2? Because since it is grounded and emitter is at 0.3 volt, so 0 minus 0.3 is minus 0.3, which is less than 0.7 volt which is required to turn on this transistor Q2. So therefore, transistor Q2 is turned off and Q1 is turned on, and since Q1 is turned on, the entire current I will appear for this emitter current of Q1, and emitter current of Q2 is 0, and that is why this collector current is also 0. So therefore, the voltage across the collector terminal of Q1 will be VCC minus alpha I times RC, because the entire I, the total current I gets driven through the transistor Q1, and since the output, the collector terminal of the Q2 will have this VCC, because the Q2 is turned off, so V02 will be equals to VCC. So the total output voltage is equals to V01 minus V02, which is equals to minus alpha times R times RC. So this is the differential voltage that you will have when you will apply the input voltage for at the input of the transistor Q1. Now, one thing you can see, you have applied a positive voltage to the base of transistor Q1 as an input, and the differential output voltage you are having, which is negative. So in that perspective, we can identify right now that this input voltage is nothing but the inverting terminal, and similarly, if you apply the voltage at this terminal, since the output is measured with respect to V01 minus V02, so when you apply the voltage at the base of transistor Q2 instead of this Q1, the output is going to be positive, and that is why this transistor Q2, the input of the transistor Q2 will be considered as the non-inverting terminal. Next one is that when you are applying some negative voltage to the input of the transistor Q1 or the base of the transistor Q1 as an input voltage. Now Q1 gets minus 1 volt. So Q1 will be turned off. Q1 will be turned off. And since Q2 has 0 voltage at its base, so it is at higher potential than minus 1 volt. So Q2 going to be turned on. So base to emitter voltage of Q2, it has 0.7 volt, and the emitter voltage is 0.0 minus 0.7, it is minus 0.7 volt, and the voltage across the current source, it is having VE minus 0.7 volt. So VB1 on the other hand, it has the minus 1.7 volt as the base emitter voltage. So definitely this Q1 is turned off and Q2 is turned on. Now, since Q2 is turned on, the entire current I will be driven through this transistor Q2, and the voltage at the collector of transistor Q2 will be VCC minus alpha times R times RC, and the voltage at the collector of Q1 will be VCC itself. Next, in the differential mode operation, I have assumed that a small signal Vi is applied at the base of the transistor Q1 as input, instead of that plus 1 volt or minus 1 volt that I have applied in my last slide. So here, as this small voltage I have applied over here, so that small voltage is different than the potential which is connected or which is applied at the base of the transistor Q2, and that is the ground voltage. So obviously it is a differential mode operation. And in case of differential mode operation, this transistor or the differential amplifier is biased at I by 2. Each of these transistor is biased at I by 2. So therefore, due to presence of this Vi which is greater than 0, so an incremental current delta I will appear over this biasing current which is I divided by 2. So this will be appeared as an emitter current of this transistor Q1. Similarly, since the opposite voltage will be applied as an input for the transistor Q2, the same incremental current gets decreased from the biasing current I by 2, and that resulting current will appear as the emitter current of the transistor Q2. As a result, the output voltage for the transistor Q1 will be VCC minus IC1, but IC1 is right now alpha times IE1, and IE1 we know that is I divided by 2 plus the incremental change is delta I times RC. Similarly, the output voltage V2, that means the voltage at the collector of transistor Q2, will be equals to VCC minus IC2 and RC, where IC2 is this one alpha times IE2. So that is why it is appearing like this. Now the total voltage which is equals to V01 minus V02 is equals to twice alpha times that incremental current delta I times RC. So this is the total output voltage, and that output voltage includes only the incremental change. That means the differential change in the current or even the emitter current. So you can see, or if you combine this alpha times delta I, so this becomes the differential change in collector current. You can see that the common mode or the biasing current which appears as the common mode current doesn't present in the final expression of the output voltage. Now, one more interesting thing that is observed for the differential voltage or the differential input voltage in case of differential amplifier, that is the potential across the current source. Let's assume the source resistance for the current source is Rs, which generally appears across the current source for any kind of current source. So the potential across that Rs, which is appearing or which I am assuming across the current source I, is obviously due to the presence of this 2 emitter current. So due to emitter current of Q1, that potential across the Rs is I divided by 2 plus delta I times Rs. But for emitter current of Q2, that potential is I divided by 2 minus delta I plus Rs. The total voltage therefore across the current is I times Rs. And look at here, in this expression of the potential across the current source, the differential current is vanished. So only the DC current is appearing, which is the source current, or which is actually the current for due to this current source. The differential change in the current doesn't present in the expression of the potential across the current source. So it basically signifies that for a differential operation, the potential or the differential potential across the current source is always zero, because the potential which should appear due to the differential change of the current is not appearing in the expression. So differential potential across the current source due to the differential mode operation is always is equals to zero, and that is why for differential mode operation we generally assume that this terminal is virtually connected with a ground, because potential is zero is equals to or equivalent to of assumption that this terminal is connected with a ground potential. But this happens only for differential mode only. Now, as this potential is equals to zero, so you can apply this V1, as this is the input voltage at the base of the transistor Q1. So V1 minus VB1 is equals to 0, and which is equals to the 0 minus VB2. And finally, from this equation, we can easily find out what is the VI. VI is nothing but the difference between these two base emitter voltage. And the differential again we can easily find from here, that is the V0 divided by Vi, which is equals to V0 divided by delta Vb, which is equivalent to the applied voltage. So V0 I have obtained from here is 2 times alpha times delta I times Rc divided, there exists delta Vb at the denominator, and we know that delta Ic is equals to Gm times delta V. And what is IC? IC is equals to alpha times delta I. So this alpha times delta I is equals to delta IC divided by delta V. You can write it directly as Gm, which is the transconductance gain. So twice Gm times Rc. So later on we will see this expression further, again we will investigate. But here the gain for the differential amplifier, when you are measuring the difference of the balance output with respect to the balance output, the differential gain is just twice that a single mode gain, and that single mode gain, that is when you are measuring the V0 for one transistor with respect to the Vi, that will be the single mode gain. So later I will show you that single mode gain is just half of this differential mode gain.